about it. They stop, they read the signs before they come in, and they mask up to a T.
Great, Lori. Thank you for sharing that. Tom, did you have something maybe to add, or I didn't know if I saw your hand up or not. Tom, would you be willing to share your experience? You've been open the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to my front desk, Moretta. She is enforcing very, very clearly. And I think it's, you know, we get a lot of people coming in saying, oh yeah, I got mine in the car, and then they go out and get it and come back. It's, you know, like it's not news in a lot of ways that people need them. People that shops ask for them. So, but I'm very grateful that Moretta is keeping up with it.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Tom. Is there anyone else that maybe has had difficulty? And I understand too, the other thing is that the nature of we have a very, very big diversity of businesses on here. So that's to our advantage, I think, the majority of the time. But maybe there's a reason why some businesses are experiencing some negativity, other businesses that are just, customers are responding to the request. Are there any other businesses on here that maybe haven't had an easy time with this, or?
I've had, we had a lot of people at first, when we first opened, who didn't get the mask policy. This is now our, I don't know if you can see that. That's our sign that we have. And there's actually, you have to go past 4 of those to get into Flexit. So you can't really avoid seeing it. So there may be a bunch of people who have come and turned themselves away since we put those up. It's hard for me to tell because I can't see the outside of the building when we're inside, but certainly things seem to, my sense is that more people are used to, as more people become used to masks being required at more places, they're more accepting of it. Having said that, I've already been advocating for a while now to get some more, to have someone from the city coming around and checking in with businesses about this. And I know, you know, Dale and I we talked about this in a couple different settings, and so I think what this education campaign that's happening right now is going to go a long way towards moving the needle on this issue of getting more awareness and understanding and acceptance among the public to wear masks. But I still think it would be great if the city could provide some. And I know there's issues, you know, there's things are stretched thin, but I would still love to see that happen in a perfect world. Well, in a perfect world, there wouldn't be COVID-19, but a perfect world with COVID, I'd love to see the city going out and just reaching out the way John said, not to come in, get people in trouble, but to help them understand what the rules are and what resources we have as a city that we have to share.
And I can say also from the perspective of Heart of Ellsworth, we are able to walk Main Street masked, of course, and able to sort of do in real time information gathering in a very non-confrontational way, just, you know, asking people if they have everything that they need, you know, do they have any questions? There's a lot of people that this noontime call doesn't work for, and we're able to ask questions and interface with these folks. And the Main Street is a relatively small place that over the course of chipping away at this for the next, you know, for 3-5 days, probably we could hit most businesses. But if the city was able to sort of get to us what those questions would be, that then we could sort of in turn give back the information that would help the city. I guess what I'm in short saying is that, you know, Heart of Ellsworth is happy to be boots on the ground partners in this effort of the education campaign. And if the city wants to reach out via email or a phone call or whatever, we're happy to help in any way that we can. So I guess the committee members who are on here, feel free to bring that back to the entire group, and we're here. It seems like Sarah has a question. Hey, Sarah.
Hey guys, I just wanted to share a couple things. One, I've had a lot of luck with my sign, so I thought I would share it with you. And it just, I hope you can read it, but, oh, it's backwards. So maybe listen, I'm not smart enough to know how to flip around this iPad. So I'll just read it to you. One of our issues is, obviously, as I usually say, the shorter demographic, right? So a lot of parents don't want to put masks on their kids. And as far as CDC is concerned, it's age 2 and under. So I have a big discrepancy, as far as age of what parents feel is appropriate to mask and not mask. So one of the things that we did that has been really kind of fun is we just made our signs a little bit more fun. Oh, I keep trying to turn it and can't read it. So our signs say 5 inside, wear a cool face covering, maintain hula hooping distance, and let us shop for you. So we've just tried to kind of change some words. And then we said, if you don't feel comfortable entering, smile and wave at us. And we put a little fun kid camera outside. So often Marguerite is hula hooping outside just so kids can kind of feel the space that they need to kind of keep, because it's hard, right? When you're 10 or under to kind of know your personal space and parameters. So some things like that have worked for us, John, when we were talking about families, some of those things are kind of fun. So we've been leaving chalk marks outside and hula hoops outside that are the, diameter once hula hooping of approximately 6 feet. So I just wanted to kind of offer those things that have kind of are even fun for adults. Moms are hula hooping outside. It's been really cool. Hold on, I have a crying baby. But so I just wanted to, oops, my thumb over the camera. Tom, listen, this iPad's great, but it's way smarter than me. So I just wanted to share some of those things because it's been kind of fun. And yeah, we've had some issues, but doing things like that is making it a little bit more positive. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Sarah. That's awesome. It's nice to see a very positive spin and your upbeat attitude towards the whole situation, because I'm sure it's super stressful being open. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be on here too, with the positive feedback and the creative, playful ideas. So that's awesome.
Can I jump in real quick, Cara?
Please go ahead. Oh,
Thank you.
Then Councilor Hamilton.
I can't see you. Oh, there. Okay.
Yep.
Just 2 things. Whatever the messaging may be, we can add it to the marquee, the digital marquee. That might help. And I don't know if this encourages business owners. I'm very apprehensive about when we do open and have to deal with these things. So we're doing a lot of planning. But as a customer, if this encourages you, there are just as many customers out there who will not come in if they don't see masks being enforced. So while you're going to get the vocal and negative ones who are mad about it, there's probably way more that would walk away if they didn't see masks. We would. So if we came into a business and there's no mask, we would leave. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. That's all great. And I think the marquee is an excellent idea. So Dale, please go ahead.
I just wanted to say briefly to Paul's point, and I certainly can pass this on to city staff around in terms of having a resource going around to help businesses. There's a time issue in terms of resource, but the other issue is the fact that the city staff are not experts in all the different business sectors and the requirements that you face within your sector that the state has developed, because the city didn't develop that's a state requirement. So I would just throw out that perhaps if there's a particular sector that the city does become involved in, if you are in that sector and are available to educate the staff on what those requirements are, so that they can help educate, because that's one of the biggest challenges I think that the city staff will have, is going into a particular, whether it's, let's say, the restaurant, and try to tell a restaurant what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to comply with those guidelines. It would be better to have contact points from those different sectors to educate, so that that can be beneficial. And it gets back to that enforcement. You know, from the state side of things, if you look at there's a form that you can file to submit a complaint. On that form, it says that essentially enforcement is a voluntary and educational process. So the teeth isn't behind it, it's really in the education. And if city staff who aren't involved in these sectors are trying to educate, they may miss something. So if you have some expertise that you're willing to be available, I think that would help.
Elsie?
Just one other quick thing it reminded me, Nick, when you talked about the marquee, is I think I heard from that meeting that Bar Harbor used, I think, a big traffic sign, and I don't know if others have used this or that's happening in Ellsworth, like one of those, like where you might say, like, be careful on the 4th of July, you know, don't drive drunk or whatever. And it's right at the entrance, I guess, to going into downtown Bar Harbor, on a big island, and it says, please wear a mask, don't make us ask, or something like that. You know, it blinks, please wear a mask, don't make us ask, which is like a nice catchphrase. And anyway, just another thought. And I think that, like, you know, that sort of sense of, it's like police, municipal, like, it feels very, like, you know, rote, like, and authoritative, but also, you know, so I think that seemed like a good strategy if it's not being used elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have any of those? I think mostly those big signs live in the DOT world, but Dale, do we have anything like that here in the city?
We might. I think we might.
Okay.
But Elsie, we should definitely not try to say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, Kay might go missing, maybe.
Yeah. Nicole?
I think it could be great if the city would ask the DOT, because I know there's a sign that's routinely parked by the Union River Bridge near my house that would catch a lot of tourists coming in from 395, and that would benefit not just Ellsworth, but the whole Acadia and Down East region as well. So I know David Cole has a lot of contacts at DOT. If
That's a great point.
maybe Dale could ask him.
Yeah, I can definitely. And maybe at the Triangle. I mean, that's a nice.
Doesn't help the downtown though, or at the first triangle.
Yeah, coming in.
There's
Yeah, that
two
would be
triangles.
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
The fork in the road, I think.
Fork in the road. There we go.
Would be
that's
funny if
great.
that happened regularly throughout, like, let's say Down East Acadia or even more, you know, and it just became really just part of the culture, you know, just norming. Be neat if it could happen in multiple communities. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's relatively simple because it exists, right? The technology and the sign and whatnot exists. Yeah.
The consistent messaging, I think, is going to be key. When people come down Main Street and see some places, some people going in and out of places with or without masks, and then go to a restaurant that requires them. It's the inconsistency. I guess I have a question, but also a comment. Question is, are any businesses giving masks out for free to customers? And a comment is, if and when somebody from the city representative does go around to businesses and I like Councilor Hamilton's idea of not, telling businesses what to do, but sort of asking what's working for you and explain to us what's going on. I do want to encourage those officials to be wearing masks because, again, with that sort of DOT consistent message sign idea, that the consistency of officials wearing masks, whether it be, somebody from the city water district or city works, public works, anything like that, it does send a loud message, I think. City officials gathering on the corner with or without masks. And people will notice that, and I think that speaks loudly. So is anybody giving masks out to customers?
It looks like some people put some things in the chat. I know that John Edwards has some masks, disposable masks from Rennie's. I know that. And again, these are some larger businesses that have a bit more of reserves than some of the small Main Street businesses. This sort of puts a question out there. Dale, might there possibly be a way that masks could be, a certain number of masks could be allocated for the downtown businesses, and then Heart of Ellsworth could help getting them to them? A lot of these, and I ask about us delivering or someone delivering, because a lot of these businesses are owner operated. And during the day, when they're in there, there's only one, maybe possibly two employees that may not even be on staff at the same time. And so they can't leave their business during business hours. And so maybe if that's how we did the Safe Reopen bags with Healthy Acadia, is we went around and delivered them to everybody.
Yeah, it's part of the, and I was actually just starting to type it. The masks are definitely, Jan is planning on purchasing masks and make them available so that businesses don't have to purchase them. And that you can make them available to your customers. So that, yeah, that can, there's one of those coordination pieces of being able to get those distributed.
Yeah, and again, I guess my point was a little bit further about getting them to them, the owners of the businesses not having to go to City Hall where they have to make an appointment to go inside or to pick something up. You know, Heart of Ellsworth has the ability to do a delivery service and getting those to folks. So we would be happy to offer that service, and that's something that I think that we can maintain if we work together. But you know, Heart of Ellsworth, we did the Safe Reopen bags in an afternoon, and it was easy to get everything to everybody because we were delivering things to them, so people got what they needed very quickly. So if there was a way for our services to be used for delivery, you know, we're happy to do that. As we know, a lot of these businesses are not able to leave during hours of operation. All right. Are there any other questions, anything that anyone wants to share on this sort of overarching issue?
I wanted to share one more thing that I think's worked really well here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that we started doing too was I started kind of like in a fun way on construction paper. I mean, I realize I dumb it down a little bit because I have lots of kiddos, but we started posting like positive mask stories, which I know sounds really kind of dumb, but it's been kind of fun. And we've been putting out paper for like the kids to draw while they're in here. And I just bought crayons, and I just put the money I got them at the dollar store, and I just throw them away when the kids leave. It's not really that big of a deal. It's not that much money. And it's been kind of cool, but I wanted to share this really great story because I'm about to post it on Facebook. Because this has been really hard for us. I say us like I have a staff. This has been hard for me trying to kind of enforce it. I was one of the first retailers to open that was non-essential downtown, and it's been overwhelming. It's been emotional. It's been really hard with people's emotions and managing it, and I think we muddled through it. But I had a really great story that I wanted to share today. I had an attorney come down from Eaton Peabody, and I've actually had a couple of anonymous calls come in about our business that they've seen, like me not sanitize a door handle when somebody has left, and that's kind of been an issue. So now I turn off the open sign, I lock the door, I sanitize, and then I turn everything back on. I don't know how to do it any other way. So that's what I've started doing. And sometimes people have to wait outside, and I put chairs out there, and that's been okay. But I had an attorney come down from Eaton Peabody who up in Bangor. She said, I just wanted to come down and let you know that news traveled up to Bangor that you're making everybody wear masks and that you have turned people away. I haven't seen my mom in 4.5 months, and we met in Ellsworth at your candy store. We've never been down here, but we came down, and I haven't seen her in 4.5 months, and we're getting to come down and shop together because we knew that this was a safe, small location, that you were enforcing the rules. We knew there'd only be 5 people, and we knew that you were sanitizing because we heard that people were grouchy. And so, you know, like there's a flip side to the grouchiness that also is a really great silver lining. And so I just wanted to share that for as many grouchy people, sometimes there's really great connections that happens, and maybe you don't know about it. So I just wanted to share and have faith, and this isn't easy, but we're doing it, and we can do hard things, and it's a lot easier with a hula hoop, that's for sure. And I know you can't, hula hoop in the middle of Machias Savings Bank, but I just wanted to say that these little things have kind of been helping, and it's been really great to be able to see people connect after a long time. And so doing the hard stuff is really kind of worth it.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a nice story. It's awesome. Well, comment that came in was, at what point are businesses required or recommended to enforce or to contact the Ellsworth Police Department? It's not something that anyone really wants to escalate, but I don't know if there's any direction or even if an answer to that could be found out. And I guess that would be the education campaign, possibly, maybe, or Dale?
Yeah, I'll just say this about enforcement. Yes, the executive order it puts a huge burden on businesses, and it talks specifically about businesses are required to enforce this, which is incredibly unfair. And yes, it allows for licensing entities, if you have a restaurant license and all of that they can step in and do enforcement. And then it talks about municipalities can enforce it on the streets and parks, et cetera. But the idea of enforcement is the fact that comes with it. Well, what are the penalties? Could the police issue a citation? Well, probably, but the reality is it's never going to be prosecuted. It's never going to be pushed forward. And is that really going to be very effective in doing it? Not to mention that there's a lot of loopholes and gray areas around the different sectors about, do you need to wear a mask on the street if you're 6 feet distance? And then the police are going to have to make that independent decision. So going down that road is not going to produce the kind of culture we want. And that's really what the discussion is about, the education. Is if we can turn this around and focus on the positive and really start to integrate that and use resources. The police are more than happy to be a resource should there be a situation that requires that type of intervention. But if as a community we're promoting, we want all of the businesses to be successful. I don't want to go into a business not wear a mask and create a problem where you could get shut down or whatever, if it came to something like that. So it's really about education, in my opinion, not enforcement. Enforcement it's too gray of an area. The executive order is too gray. And if just think about it, all of you as a business, what are you supposed to do? You're mandated to enforce it, but really at the end of the day, how? So that's why from a city perspective, we want to support the education and provide the resources to make this effective and not go down that road of trying to enforce through police or other means.
Lass, I think you had your hand raised.
Hi. Well, it just occurred to me that, these are private businesses, right? Like, we don't have to, as far as enforcing, like, this is my business. So if you come in here and I say that you can't, right, then now you're trespassing. So anyway, that's how I'm treating it. And when people walk in, I'm just saying, thank you so much for putting your mask on. Like, it's not a question. It's just that you do it. And I've only had one person leave, and he was a regular guy that said, a regular customer. And he was like, oh, I don't have room on my bike or whatever. And I was like, sorry, see you next time. And I've had so many people say to me, thank you for enforcing that when people walked in, because I've had people either go out to their car and get their mask, or, I have the little masks you can get at Walgreens or whatever. And I charge people $1 for them, like, times are tough. And if you can't, then I have some nicer masks, right? Like, if you want to accessorize with your mask, but, it's just not a question. And I agree with everybody that said, the more of us that say this is how it is, the more it will be just universal. This is how we do it. And I just feel like the anti-maskers are the louder people, but the majority of the people are wearing masks and want to wear masks. And I don't want to go somewhere where people aren't wearing masks. So, I agree with everybody that's shared that sentiment too. So
Thank you, Lass.
Thanks.
Elsie? And
Thank
then
you.
Nicole.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on the conversation. It's such an interesting one. And I know, Councilman Hamilton, you're in a difficult position as from the city perspective, sort of what do you do? And you don't want to be heavy handed on businesses and whatnot. But at the same time, I mean, it's sounding like what I'm hearing so much here and have heard from other businesses is businesses want to, not all, but at least, you know, it sounds like the folks here and many others, you know, want to be able to create a mask, you know, a 100% mask space, right? For your sake and for your employees' sake and your customers' sake. And so, I mean, I wonder if there's a way to think about the executive order differently. You know, yes, we want to focus on education, but in a way, I mean, it seems like the executive order, or what I'm hearing maybe the businesses say here is something like that executive order can actually help reinforce the choices you're already trying to make, right? Like you're already trying to say, I want to keep, you know, I want to require masks in the business. And now it doesn't have to be just you alone. It could be like, and that's the law. And so, you know, in a way, the executive order, it sounds like, can back you up in terms of what you already want to do. And so if we then all, you know, as the town, as a city, and as, you know, organizations and all of it, you know, if we can just all then continue to back you up in terms of just saying, yeah, this is the way it is. And this is how we, yeah. And it's the law. And that in a way, it is sort of requiring you to comply, but in a way it's just giving you maybe more tools to do what you want to be doing to keep, you know, yourself and others safe. And then obviously we never want you in a scary situation. So maybe that was where the PD question comes up. Like if you're trying to do the right thing and getting into a worrisome situation, what then can maybe the city or the PD do to support you in doing what you're trying to do? And I'm not sure if that was a question, but just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Elsie. Nicole, I think, was next.
Thank you all. And Elsie, I think that was a perfect comment to encapsulate a lot of what I've been thinking. I think there is a part of this new executive order was to remove what has been identified by municipalities and businesses as something that's been a little bit more gray. I think it's actually pretty clear when you read the orders as opposed to reading the press about the orders, what the expectations are, I think, or what the opportunities are. And I think the state has always made it clear, and you know, I want to be clear, I wasn't involved in writing any of these things. I read them the same way that you all read them as soon as they come out, or maybe I'm the nerd that is the only one reading them as soon as they come out. I don't know. But, you know, education has always been a big component of that. And I think it's hard because we use this term enforcement, but we all know that enforcement is so much more than a penalty or a violation, a fine, something like that, because our code enforcement, you know, does an excellent job. And I've heard so many anecdotes from some of your businesses and other businesses over many years about code enforcement working so hard to help a business come up to compliance. So I think it's challenging to hear, and I want to push back a little bit, I think, on the city saying, you know, we can't do code enforcement because we don't want to do violations. And I don't think, I don't want to see that. I don't think the state wants to see it. I don't think any of these businesses here are asking for other businesses in the community that's so close to be penalized, but they're asking for help with the education, which is, I'd say, a huge part of code enforcement's work in general. So I could be out of line saying all that, but I just want to make it more clear how I see the state information coming out and what I hear from businesses in the middle, and then where the city could maybe move a little bit more toward that support that some businesses here are asking for.
So can I just respond to, so I just want to clarify the challenge for all the businesses that are open to it. It's not an issue because those businesses are already handling it. And if they have a need for greater support because customers are not responding to that, the city is more, the police will do whatever to help with that. I think what I'm hearing are, what about those businesses that may not be complying with it? And my sense around that is that we have very few businesses that aren't outright not complying. You have some spottiness in terms of if it's just the mask issue. As you know, each sector has a whole list of requirements. That's what I was referring to before, is that code enforcement isn't necessarily going to be in tune with all of those specifics. If we're just talking about masking, what the challenge is code enforcement goes into a business and sees one person without a mask, or they show up at a period of time when everybody has a mask. It's more complex than just catching a situation that isn't working. And so I think part of it is, David has said this, his staff are more than willing to assist, but there are some very gray areas. It's not just a straightforward issue in terms of how the city can help to do that enforcement. It's far more complicated than that. And so I would certainly would welcome kind of the feedback, because right now we're talking with a group of people that are all invested in following that, which is very different than if you have a business that isn't, and if you have a business that's kind of hit or miss.
I agree. Well, I agree with basically everything that's being said. I just want to reflect a little bit on what Nicole said about city code. I really agree that they have always been very helpful and easy to work with. And I just, remember times when Dwight will walk down the street, check out kind of what we're doing, making sure we have enough parking spaces, ask us a couple questions. How are you, where are your customers parking? How can we figure out a way that they can park in a better location? This is when we had parking issues a little while ago. That, I think that same approach where we know we're all trying to do right, we know we're all in this together. We brought a checklist that the state has already, created and printed out, specific to your business. Let's just walk through these together. Can you show us where your signs are? Great. Maybe you want a couple more signs there. And, maybe we'll check back in another 2 weeks just to remind people. I know that some of the things can slip by the minds of business owners. And so it might be nice to have a reminder. I get it as well that it's really complex and each business is, operating differently. But I think if it's even as simple as the state checklist per business, that we know somebody is going to run through that checklist with those businesses, just to make sure that somebody is, talking, because we don't know that we're doing exactly right here, though we're trying. It would be helpful to have somebody else's eyes on it and get some suggestions.
It seems Dale's just said that he would recommend, if there are specific businesses that we are all concerned about, please contact Dwight Tilton. And he's positive that he will follow up and provide education and support. I think it's a different challenge in the expectation that Dwight has to find the violations. So the time is 12:47. There's a couple of other things that are on the agenda that I don't want to cut this conversation off, but I also want to make sure that we get to the rest of the items. I am actually, yes, thank you so much, Elsie, for pointing that out. Thank you, Dale. And yeah, thank you so much, Dale, for coming on here. There are a lot of folks on here right now. We've got 19 people. At the height of it, we had 20. So you were able to interface with 20 people and to get information out in real time. And the value of having someone from the city on here bi-weekly is huge to the people who are trying to sort of, in the best interest of their time and the city's time, trying to get information. So you hit 20 people with an hour. So I think it's kind of a good win. Moving on to the business opportunities, I just wanted to highlight a lot of the different things that we had in our newsletter, on our weekly email, excuse me. And I just put links to everything in there again. The top one is the Heart of Ellsworth's partnership with the downtown, with Machias Savings Bank and the Downtown Grant Program. I just want to remind everybody that the application deadline is July 17th. If there are any questions, feel free to email me. We have 3 jurors. One is Courtney Cullum, one of the Heart of Ellsworth board members. The second one is Shannon Byers from SBDC, who at one point in time was on this call. I'm not sure. Oh, she is. She's still here. Hi, Shannon. And then the last one is Jana Richards, the City of Ellsworth's Economic Development Director. So between those 3 ladies, I think that we have a very solid jury this year. And we are very excited for Machias Savings Bank partnering with us in making this possible for all of our downtown businesses. So we're very excited about that. And then there's a couple of other items in the chat feature with workshops. There's a cash flow workshop from New Ventures Maine, Blitz Bangor Virtual Conference. I encourage you to click on all of these. And then the SBDC workshop series, auditing your website, which is now's a good time for that. We all know how incredibly dependent we are now on the web with our businesses in the situation that we're all finding ourselves in COVID. And then the last one that I stuck in there was also New Ventures Maine, which is a Main Street Rise program, which is learning at your own pace type of learning that interfaces with GoDaddy. And again, that's another tech type of resource that's out there for you folks. Again, email me with any questions that you have. It says it's after I posted those, Dale says it makes this easy because we're all trying to accomplish the same goal, and it is true. That is the common underlying theme. We all just want a safe and healthy community. We do all have the same goal. So, and then we have a thank you, Dale, from an iPad, an anonymous iPad. So, at this time, now that I've sort of,
I think that's Paul.
Oh, it's Paul. Oh, hey, Paul. I've outlined all of the different opportunities, and there are more to come that will be coming in an email to you folks. I just want to open the floor now to any open discussion, any questions or thoughts or anything. And anybody, just feel free to unmute yourself. There's so few people on here that you can just unmute yourself.
I'll just make sure everyone understands the windows boarded up to the grand. We're not closing. That was we were grant a year ago to repair and repoint all the brick. So that's a grant from the Belvedere Fund to the Maine Community Foundation, which was planned a long time ago. So yeah, people panicked. They saw the boarded up windows. That's a good thing. It's being repaired.
Nice, Nick. Yeah, I think actually that's it's very exciting, and happy to see more Belvedere funds spent here in our community, and here in Hancock County. We're so lucky to have that fund. So very, very, very exciting. And also thanks for keeping it local with King Masonry. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, Last says yay. Nice, it's awesome. Are there
So
any...
I wanted to say a couple things.
Thank you. Please do. Go for it.
I'm excited to be partnering with Heart of Ellsworth for the cleaning in the time of COVID, as well as with Healthy Acadia and all the other folks. And I just sent that to you, the video to you, Kara. It's still a learning curve for me, but that will be posted, I'm assuming, on your website, and I'm gonna figure out how to post it on mine, on the Adult Ed website. I also am partnering with an organization called the Tulip Project, which deals with the issue of mental health. And so we're going to be offering because mental health is such a big issue with COVID-19, we're going to be collaborating and offering that in August. It's going to be a Tuesday, Thursday, and then a Tuesday session online, and I can forward that information to all of you. We're finalizing everything this coming Tuesday, and it's actually it will be posted on our website, and I'll put our website online. But I think it's important not only to address the physical health of folks right now, but also the mental health. So I'll definitely reach out to Healthy Acadia in particular, both you, Elsie, and Sarah, because you're my most personal contacts at this point about that. But I'm kind of excited about that project. I don't know if folks know about it, but it's raising awareness about mental illness in general. So I'm hoping we'll be planting a lot of yellow tulips here in October that will bloom in the spring.
Excellent.
Wanted to put that out there and not forget the mental health component of this pandemic.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Annie. It seems I have a question from Sarah at Sugar Mags regarding the grant application. Please add an attachment upload section to the application. The reason why you don't find for the financials, Google Forms, which we had to keep expenses down, so we had to use whatever sort of free software that we had. We weren't able to make a spot. Google doesn't offer that, so I was not able to have attachments be added to Google Forms for them to be private. The only way that I was able to keep that was to have that emailed separately. So Sarah, I can interface with you more one-on-one about private information such as your financials for supporting docs for the grant application. I can talk to you more about that. And if there's anybody else that has question about that, just put your name in the chat feature and just write financials grant application next to it. And I will make sure that I get back to you with more information just because we're challenged for time. We only have 5 more minutes left. But I am happy to answer any questions at all around the grant. And I do also just want to remind people about the grant, 2 specific things. One thing is this is our first year. We've created this grant program completely from scratch, and we are so lucky to have the financial support from Machias Savings Bank to do this, but we are completely open to feedback. And the more feedback we receive and constructive criticism that we receive, the better that the grant application and the process can be in 2021, because we are going to do everything in our power to make this a yearly occurrence. So don't be deterred if you miss the deadline or if for some reason or another your application is not chosen. So are there any other questions at this time? General things, anyone has news, updates, anything? Okay. Well, thank you all for being on the call today. I did start the record button a little bit late, but I did get most of it. So this video will be pushed onto our website and also on our YouTube channel. And I just, again, want to thank you all for taking time out of your day. And I think today was very productive. Clearly, there's a lot of questions around the mandate. So we're going to do what we can to get more information into your hands and trying to figure out how Heart of Ellsworth can be of service to you folks. Feel free to reach out and we will be happily able to get that information to you folks. So thank you everyone for being here and have a nice weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Nick.
See you. All right.